Today I'm going to talk about hundreds of thousands of cars that Subaru has recalled. Yes, over the years Subarus have had problems with head gaskets because of that boxer design, automatic transmission failures, lots of things. But these are actual recalls that they had to recall the cars to get them fixed. Subaru has to recall 400,000 of their vehicles because they put bad valve springs in the engine heads. So on these 400,000 vehicles, Subaru has to replace all the valve springs. Well, you got to tear the whole engine apart, and that is like a 12-hour labor job. According to Subaru's own statistics, this is going to cost Subaru $434 million in profit that they're going to have to throw back to fix these things. But there's even a catch on that. I have seen people have these Subaru engines taken in, put all new valve springs in, 12-hour job, taking the engine apart, putting it together, and then within a few months, the engines blow up while they're going down the road. And of course, the Subaru dealers try to say, oh, well, there's something else wrong with it. Come on now. They took the engine apart, put it back together for 12 hours. They obviously didn't do a very good job. And here's a reason that this will often happen these days. Because here's how warranty work works at a dealership. I'm showing you how parts are replaced in the car. In this case, it says 1.6 hours is standard for doing this particular job. But look at this. Manufacturer's warranty, 1.2 hours. They pay less to the mechanics who are doing warranty work. This information comes from All Data. It's an information system that everyone uses to decide how much to charge for a job. So let's face it, this is the last thing you want done when someone is rebuilding your engine. It's a very intricate process. Things have to be done perfectly to within a thousandth of an inch or even less. You don't want a guy who's like, I'm getting paid less than I normally get paid, so I'm going to rush through this job as fast as I can. Of course they're going to screw up when they do some of these jobs, and then engines are going to blow up. You know, it's just stupid to pay people less to do engine work. Okay, if they're doing something simple like changing the fan belts or, you know, putting brake pads on, but not rebuilding an engine. And unfortunately, this recall also includes those Toyota 86s because, as I've talked about before, the Toyota 86s have Subaru engines in them. Toyota doesn't make them. I think it's a mistake when one company uses another company's engines. Then it makes them look bad because their cars have to be recalled because the people they're buying the engine from didn't make them right in the first place. And it's not like Subaru hasn't had engine problems in the past. Everybody knows they have a tendency to blow head gaskets. Why Toyota decided to use Subaru engines today, that's one beyond me, but I guess it's some deal they got going back in Japan. And this recall also includes some of the Scion FRSs. Of course, Scion, they don't exist anymore. It was just Toyota trying a different name. But then again, they were putting these Subaru engines in there. If you ask me, big mistake, Toyota. Now we're talking Subaru and recalls. Well, a bunch of the Subarus are under that Takata airbag recall. Now you can't really blame Subaru on that, but they're not getting very good luck because as of January 2018, only 29.5% of these airbag recalls have actually been performed by Subaru. The Legacy and Outbacks, 49,000 of them were recalled because of an improperly machined steering column that could result in loss of steering control. That is really serious stuff. And that same year, 592,000 Outbacks and Legacies are recalled because the plastic cap that covers the windshield wiper might melt and you lose your wipers. Be great, you're going down the road, it's raining like mad, you got your wipers on, then it melts and they stop. I mean, these guys have quality control problems. There's no arguing that. Heck, in 2014 they recalled over 600,000 vehicles because their brake lines were improperly built, and if they get contact with salt water vapor, they could go bad. You know, we're talking about a company that has a history of problems. Now, historically, this wasn't always the case with Subaru. I've got a customer who's moving away from Houston now, but 30-something years ago, he was nuts about his Subarus. He had moved to Texas from up north, and he loved the four-wheel drive aspect. And he had an early one that was a four-cylinder. It was a standard transmission, all-wheel drive, and he loved the vehicle. Then he moved away again out of Houston, and I didn't see the guy for like 20 years. And he came back here because he said, hey, I've got a house in Maine. I'm going to be living up there for a while. Check out my Toyota for the trip. And I said, hey, I thought you were a Subaru man. He said, yeah, the last Subaru I had was really great, but he said after that they started making junk and I went to Toyota. This is a private individual. happened to be more or less a scientist, and he really analyzed stuff all the time, and he gave up with Subaru a long time ago. He really loved that early Subaru that he had, but hey, he realized Toyotas were a ton better. Because really, Subaru started as kind of a fringe company. They made a certain amount of cars, not all that many. People liked them that lived in the mountains and went skiing because they were all-wheel drive. But then when they started to ramp up production and sell more cars, hey, they made a lot of mistakes. And as I said, hey, I feel Toyota made a mistake using these Subaru engines in some of their cars. It's a company with a history of problems. Why would you want to deal with that when you're Toyota and you make great cars that don't have engine problems? Why would you put engines from another manufacturer with a history of engine problems in your cars? It's going to water down your brand. At least for me, if I bought a car and the engine had problems, had to bring it under warranty, had to take it all apart, put it back together again, I would never buy another one of those, period. Subaru is recalling 1.3 million, yes, million cars in the United States because your perfume may affect your car adversely. I'm not making this up. It turns out that perfume, certain fabric softeners, and other aromas contain a silicone that can wreck the brake light switch on these cars. Somehow the silicone that's in these aromas can attract to the contact switch on your brake switch on your pedal, cause it to corrode, and then the brake lights don't work. And of course that's dangerous can be at highway speeds. If your brake lights don't come on when you stop on the brakes, some guy behind you going 75 might slam right into you. So they had to recall 1.3 million cars for this. And the weirdest thing is these silicone gases only affect some models and not others. Subaru doesn't comment on that, but that makes it even weirder. I mean, let's face it. If the perfume someone's wearing affects the electronics on the car, that kind of make you wonder about who's making these things. And valve spring problems in an engine? When I was a young mechanic, yeah, engines would wear out, have valve spring problems because the metallurgy wasn't as good. But today, the metallurgy is excellent. They have much better metals. They know how to make valve springs better. Having a failure in something like that, that's inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. So now you know the truth about a bunch of Subaru recalls and why I'd say stay away from Subaru. All right, has this man lost his mind? He traded a RAV4 even for the Subaru Crosstrek, a new one, 2021. Now this is a Crosstrek Sport. So it's pretty much top of the line one. Of course, they're all-wheel drive. It's comparable to the Mazda CX-30, which I just did a video on. Relatively similar type car. The CX-30 that I checked out the other day was a lower end one. The guy paid 25 grand. These listed about the same, but this is a Sport. This is the fancy version. But like I say, he traded his late model RAV4 even for it because he wasn't satisfied with the RAV4 in Vermont. The RAV4, he didn't like the handling. They got kind of rocky back and forth. But the main thing was, both of them were all-wheel drive. The RAV4, he even had studded snow tires. And he got stuck in the snow, and he got stuck in the mud, and he's never been stuck with this. You gotta realize Subaru was the first massive pioneer of all-wheel drive systems. As far as I'm concerned, for the money, they make the best all-wheel drive system. Now, there are things out there on Porsches and Audis that are insane technology, but it also blows your pocketbook when you see how much the things cost. This is a lower priced vehicle. I mean, they start at 25 grand. You might get 4 wheels for a Porsche and Audi for that, not the whole car, especially not a new one. So in the snow and mud of Vermont, he's much happier with this car. He tried out the RAV4, he didn't like it, he likes this better. There are certain niches for certain vehicles. There are quite a few people I met that didn't like how the RAV4 rode. Realize that even though this is all-wheel drive, subcompact SUV crossover, blah, 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 it's based on a Subaru Impreza sedan. So it actually has a lot better ride than the RAV4. You can see, this is a unibody construction. It's all based on the sedan. They just turned it into a crossover. And I've just been told by the owner and his wife over here that she got nauseous in the RAV4 from the rocking, and she said she hasn't got nauseous in this yet, and that's his main passenger. So, I mean, they do ride better. Now, interestingly enough, when they first came out with these, people loved them, but they said they can't get out of their own way. Well, they fixed that, as you see on his. As you can see here, 2.5 liter. So it's got the same size 4-cylinder engine as his RAV4 did, 2.5 liter. But, depending on if you're driving city or highway, This thing gets 3 to 4 miles per gallon better gas mileage. Therefore, it's somewhat boxier, heavier. So, he gets better gas mileage, but at the same time, it handles better. And yes, it's the 4-cylinder Subaru Boxer engine. They fixed head gasket problems decades ago. They don't have head gasket problems anymore. You want something like this. You want a 2.5 liter normally aspirated, because if you look at it, it's not turbocharged. As we look at the front, what's this? It's all metal, because it's got a metal timing chain running the engine. That's what you want. The problem with older Subarus are they had rubber timing belts, and they're interference engines. The belt breaks, goes the engine. Well, because of this design, this crazy Boxer design, 2 cylinders here, 2 cylinders here opposed, changing the timing belt on these Boxer engines was a real pain in the butt. And often people would get them changed, they get the car back and it run like crap because the mechanics did a lousy job. They were not that easy to replace timing belts on correctly. They're not as simple as, say, a Toyota that's got the crank, cam on the top. Simple. They wear out a little bit faster, but they're extremely hard to set up perfectly. You gotta have all the Subaru locking tools. A lot of guys say they could put them on, they'd put them on, they'd never run right again. Check engine light, it'd come on, time it'd be off. You don't have to think about it as long as you change your oil every 5,000 miles and use that new GF6 oil. That's all you gotta do to maintain these. Interesting enough, this has a CVT transmission in it. So there's no gears. But it's Toyota had that newer Toyota 8-speed automatic transmission, which a lot of people don't like. They're made to maximize gas mileage. That's why they have all those extra speeds, to get better gas mileage. But in order to achieve it, it's always got to be an optimal gear for optimal gas mileage. So they're always hunting for gears. And they feel kind of sloppy a lot of times. Now, if you want, you can put it into manual mode, shift it yourself, and it won't have the sloppiness anymore. But there goes your gas saving down the toilet because you're going to be revving it up higher. This does it by itself with a CVT transmission. The newer CVTs are definitely an improvement over the older ones. As we open the door, zoom in a little, you go by the VIN number. The VIN number is JF2. That means it was made in Japan. There's nothing better than a Japanese vehicle made in Japan. Now, I don't know why this is the case, but it is. So the JF means it's made in Japan, right? But if it was made in the United States, it would say 4S instead. Now, to me, that's not very fair. Should have said America, United States, not 4S. They're just doing that because they don't want you to know that it was put together here. But on the positive side, the ones that are put together here in Indiana, the engines and transmissions are still built in Japan. They just ship them over and then they put the car together here. It's not like they're building everything from scratch. You get the same quality engines and transmissions. They're just put together here, kind of like a Lego set. Take a look inside, see what you get. Sounds solid. Nice black. Little gold trim here because it's sport. Start her up. Sounds like a Subaru, that's for sure. And of course, it's got a nice screen. And I like the screen. This is a screen that is integrated to the dash, right? This isn't some ugly thing that's sticking out on a bump that even blocks your view. It is integrated where it should be. And the things you want to see, there they are up here. You don't have to look all over the place. It's pretty well set up. So it's got a sunroof if you go for that stuff. That doesn't impress me. But it's got various modes for snow. It has heated seats. The wife was cold. We'll turn that off. We don't need that now. Steering wheel for all kinds of modes. It's got everything on it. Fancy warning SOS system and everything on it if you get in a wreck. Comfy, stylish seats in the front. Check out the back seat. Quite a bit of room. Very stylish back seat. It's got a usual subcompact trunk. And of course, like every Subaru made except for their little racy cars, it's all-wheel drive. That's why he got it. He's never got stuck with this in the same places that he's got stuck with the RAV4. Subaru does have a better designed all-wheel drive system. Where he lives, he needs it. My son went to the University of Vermont. Boy, I tell you, it snows there and it gets really cold. That's where Subarus come into their own. That's how they started in the United States. They were originally a niche car. People in Colorado buy them. People in Vermont would buy them. Anyways, out in the country, going in snow, going to mountains, they love buying these things. They kind of got off track for a while and started putting those 6-cylinder engines to their problems. And then they got in a little bit of trouble with that, but now they seem to be going back to their roots and they know what they're doing. Got a decent sized camera, not something puny thing. Now as we get on the road, we can see, hey, it's not overly high and it's certainly not low. As we go over my big lump, it doesn't drag anything. Got that Subaru sound. It does have a CVT. Now, I mean, a lot of cars do. if you want. Look, you can put it in manual mode if you want, and you can shift it yourself. It's got paddle shifters here. You want to go down, you go down. You want to go up. There it goes. Now realize, of course, that's fake shifting. It's a CVT, it doesn't have any gears, but it acts like it does to increase acceleration. You can manually do it. Now you notice, camera's kind of bouncing around. Hey, it's a subcompact crossover. They all bounce around. My Matrix bounces around. The CX-30 I drove the other day, it bounces around. They are bouncy vehicles. Doesn't bother me, but some people it bothers. It does have that horrible start-stop, and it just stopped. I hate that, but we're gonna try acceleration out with the CVT and a 2.5 liter engine. Here we go. Not bad considering the engine had stopped and then it started again. So you really can't complain. It does have decent acceleration. You're just tiddling along and you step on the gas. It goes pretty fast. And as you corner, they are fun to drive. It does handle quite a bit better than a RAV4. I do have to agree. He didn't like the handling. He didn't like the rocking back and forth because it made his wife seasick. Now, she admitted she didn't get seasick yet with him driving, but if she was with me driving like this, she probably would get seasick. When you're going uphill, step on the gas, it picks up and goes. That is why they put the 2.5 liter engine in. 4 with the smaller engine, they barely got out of their own way. It's fun to drive. It's got plenty enough zip when you step on the gas. And noise level, about average for one of these. They're not quiet, they're not loud. It's about average. You get a subcompact crossover SUV, they're always a little bit on the noisy side. I mean, if you didn't like noise, you could also insulate it like I show in some of my videos. You can buy sound insulation and get it insulated if you want. It'll be a lot quieter. They don't put that much in them. The ride's perfectly fine. It's just the bumps you're gonna feel, but all of these, like I say, every single little subcompact SUV crossover is gonna feel the bumps when you hit bumps on the road. That's just the nature of the beast. It's all-wheel drive. It's a relatively short wheelbase. It's gonna have a relatively rough ride on bumpy roads. The Subarus never got them stuck in the mud or stuck in the snow, and the RAV4 did, so that's one of the reasons he traded it in even for this. Okay, so what's my conclusion? Is the man insane for trading a RAV4 for this thing? In his case, no. He loves his wife and she's not getting seasick, so that's reason enough, you know? Gets better gas mileage, doesn't get stuck in the snow, he lives where it snows all the time, gets better gas mileage, and they're both 2.5 4-cylinder engines. One's a boxer, the other's an inline, but this gets better gas mileage. I've seen Subarus go 200,000-300,000 miles, just like Toyotas. They can last a really long time, as long as you change the oil regularly. So really, not that bad of an idea. He just swapped even. Now, in terms of pure money, if he really wanted to, he probably could have sold the RAV4 for more and then bought this instead of trading it in. That's what I would have done. I'm more of a horse trader, you know. But still, they're interesting vehicles because they're based on a car. They're not being based on a truck. They're based on a car, and they ride more like a car, and they get better gas mileage like a car too. The higher up they go, the more they weigh, the worse the gas mileage. This isn't particularly high, and it gets pretty good gas mileage for an SUV. That's normal. There's no hybrid anything here. It can run a really long time. You don't have to worry about the hybrid system breaking. It's going to cost a small fortune to fix when it goes out. Subaru, being the true mass producers of all-wheel drive systems throughout history, I don't think he's going to have any problems with that. Hey, maybe it wasn't such a stupid idea after all. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.